What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Thrifty, back with the playground. How is everybody doing tonight? Holy crap, this was supposed to be a slow news week. This was supposed to be CES and nothing more. This was supposed to be, hey, there's not much going on, guys. Hunker down, it's no big deal. Enjoy your winter, enjoy your Christmas break, and you know what? Xbox has gotten their L's for January out of the way, and Lord help me. Hey, Hero, want you know something? I am here for David and Kofi too, to be honest with you. That's, I don't think the 2026 news is fake. I think it's a handheld or a dongle. I bet it's a dongle. So, speaking of that, tonight we do have a great, absolutely great show for y'all. And I can't talk highly enough about the guests that we have here. Steven, Leon, what is going on? Hero Down Under, I see you. I got a couple other people I gotta say something to, but I can't see their names because Streamlabs is weird. Goku 1973, thank you for showing up. Outsider Gaming Night, it is time to get thrifty. Yeah, and my thrifty bud is going to be telling you, along with the other two guys, where in the world you'll be able to find every freaking RPG of the year. Because trust me, there's about a bajillion of them, and we will have. We'll have a fun time talking about ours that we're kind of looking forward to and kind of why and stuff like that. So that is one of the topics for tonight. Michael Meridian, what's going on? Thrifty, you're going to have to have your topic. Microsoft has more layoffs? No way. No, this can't be happening. Not at the beginning of the show. No, no, not at all. Let me get off of Bing. They don't know how to do searches. Okay. Microsoft layoffs 2025. Oh, tech giant cuts job cuts stretch into 2025. Now focusing is cutting less than 1%, while the information. Oh, oh, we messed up. You know what? They were gonna miss today with no L's, and looks like they got it in right at the end. Dang, that's what she said. Oh crap. All right, well, you know what? We have a show. Let me go over the intro real quick because we got some stuff to talk about. Here's some of the topics we're talking about tonight, though. JRPGs, RPGs, ARPGs. There are about a bajillion of them coming next year, and we're gonna give you our thoughts on that. Then you have Xbox is rumored to launch in 2026 with new Call of Duty. A new Xbox. Good idea? Bad idea? Copium? We don't know. We're going to talk about it. Then we have PlayStation announces the Helldivers movie, Ghost of Tsushima anime, and Horizon Zero Dawn movie to go with a lot of their other IP from PlayStation that they're bringing over to their movie division. So we're going to kind of talk about that. What do we think of that? Is that something that we're interested in? I don't watch a lot of TV, so is this something that's going to bring me back into maybe consuming some of that media? So we're going to talk about that a little bit in our thoughts. Also, we are going to talk a little bit about what I did the live show on Thursday or Friday of last week. But I want to get these two guys' takes on it with PS5 absolutely dog walking the Xbox during the month of November and all generation, but mainly talking about the month of November. Also, Astrobot has raked in 104 games and surpassed the previous record, or 104 Game Awards, and is now the most awarded platformer, beating out Take-Two's. It Takes Two, sorry. And so, yeah, we're going to discuss that a little bit. That's an insane achievement for a platformer, and for one that Sony maybe paid off Jeff Keighley. I don't know if they paid off all 103 of those outlets. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And we already have that one. Oh, this one. This is a brand new article that's talking about an analyst and what they analyzed about Game Pass and how it hurts Xbox game sales by a whopping 80%. So, it's brand new. This is new information coming to us. We had no idea. And so we're going to discuss this because this is breaking news. Who knew Game Pass hurt sales? It's baffling. Wow. Guys, an analyst spent time and their effort to figure this out. Wow. So we're going to talk about that. And then apparently, Microsoft just can't stop stepping in crap, and they're laying off more people amid performance reviews. So maybe 1% of 239,000 employees, maybe 1%, maybe they suck at their job. I'm just saying. It's possible, not making excuses for Microsoft, but it's possible. So, I mean, if it's performance reviews, I got mine coming up. A lot of people have them coming up. Well, it might not be layoffs. It might be they got fired. Layoff is just a nice term for it. I don't know. But so, all of that. With that being said, guys, there are some free things you can do right now to help out the channel. You can like, you can subscribe, you can come to the chat and comment. You can do all of those things. Those are amazing ways to help and help support the channel. You can share it out on social media. Super helpful. In other news, the sun is hot. That's right. There's also a paid way that you can help the channel and support it by becoming a member. There's a member button. You can do that. It's $5 a month. Helps out a lot. It's going to be what lets me buy the upgrades for the channel, and also it does go for my hobby. So, yeah, super helpful and super thankful to everybody who is already a member, and I am excited about tonight. But speaking of those members, these are the members currently. Well, these are the members not currently. These are the members about a week removed, I believe. And so shout out to these guys. You get some emojis in there. We are going to be doing a members only stream here very soon. So keep your eyes open to the comments or to the community section of the channel for that. Also, real quick, there is a Monster Hunter Wilds demo weekend or beta weekend coming up. I believe it's the first weekend in February, and I will be absolutely wanting to play that with some of the members here. I know there's a few of y'all who've been talking the game up and really excited, so let's see if I'm able to hang with y'all, because those are not my games. I haven't played those style games. So let's see if y'all kick my butt or I just die about 1,000,000 times. With all that being said, let's get to our amazing guest, because let's be honest, we are here to see them and not me. At least that's why I'm here. So let's go ahead and bring them over. How are you guys doing tonight?
What's going on, Thrifty? How you doing, brother?
What's up, man? Has Falky made it back yet?
No, I don't think he's back just yet. Hopefully a couple minutes.
Gotcha. Yeah, he said about 5 minutes. So, all right. So, man, welcome back to the show, dude. Super happy you were able to make it.
Glad to be back, man. Happy New Year. Happy gaming year. A lot of things to be excited about.
Oh, dude, there's too many to be excited about. Like, I swear I'm just going to have to work on my backlog this year and not. I'm going to have to put my head in the sand, work on my backlog until the 3 games that I'm deciding to purchase come out, and play them, and then go right back to my backlog, because I have probably 15, 20 games that I lack anywhere between 5 hours and 20 hours to 30 hours left in, and
I feel
so
that.
it sucks. You don't know, you beat most of your games, don't you?
I've done well in 2023. In 2024, I got caught up with playing one game too much, and it really
Helldivers?
crushed all my. Helldivers was okay. I would say there was 3 service. I'll say this: there's 2 service games and 1 DLC that I stuck with. That was first Descendant, Helldivers, and then Remnant 2.
Oh,
If I
yeah,
had
yeah,
not
yeah.
played those 3 games, I would have put a lot more time in RPGs. So this year is kind of another revenge tour, just like 2023 was, and getting back to things like Dragon Quest III Remake, or shoot, I'd have to go to my notes because there's just so much stuff. Just like you, it's a backlog game for sure.
And I need it to be, but we have so many things coming out. Like, I need to go back. So here's just a brief list. Hogwarts Legacy. I beat the game. I beat the final boss, but I didn't complete my owls. And I didn't realize that you still had to go back and complete your owls after you defeated the final boss. You have to be one level higher than where I am right now.
Imagine that.
Which means all I have to do is get on there and grind that thing, do a couple Merlin trials, and boom, I'll have my level, I can do my owls, and I'll be done. But I haven't found the 2 hours to break away from Path of Exile, to break away from, well, Path of Exile. And then I start thinking, I'm like, holy crap, man, I have Trails from Zero. I have,
Yeah.
I need to beat Chained Echoes still. I got 20 hours left in Trails from Zero. Like,
Okay.
I've already dealt with the most of the mafia. I've already dealt with the two gangs. I've I've seen Rain and some creepy figure on the side of the mountain with the wolf thing after that. I've done some of the mobster stuff. Like, I feel like I'm getting closer.
Yeah, that sounds like some good progress.
But, like, oh crap, Steven Leon with the 50! Holy jeez. I don't
Wow,
need no
not bad.
stinking button. One more for your kid, Chuck E. Cheese, or whatever you want. I'm doing this because Kofi's here. That's funny. See that? See, this is.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
God bless. Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year, man. Yes, I'm addicted. You're addicted too? Yeah, I know, man. Like, so, but a new game comes out, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. This is so awesome. And I hop onto it. Like, Path of Exile. There was a game that took me away from Metaphor. I can't remember what it was now. I remember Metaphor, but I don't remember what game took me away from it. And
Um,
and I have no idea because it wasn't anything new. It was something that I had got on sale, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to play it. Oh, this is bad. I went to play Atlas Fallen because I got it on the Thanksgiving sale, I think.
yeah.
And that game is absolute ass.
That's the one you're sliding around in the desert, right?
Yes, which is awesome. The traversal is so cool. It's one of the most fun mechanics I've ever played with. It's so fun. It's awesome. It's more controlled than the way Forspoken was, where Forspoken would have you like up and down, jumping all around, doing some like weird stuff. You'd overmiss your mark. It just didn't. It wasn't as controlled as I would have wanted in Forspoken. In this, dude, it's tight. The turning is good. Like, it's one of the best travel mechanics I've ever had in a game. I absolutely love it.
I had no idea. I mean, all I've seen is some of the hype around the finishing attacks you can do, and it looks kind of cool, but I never.
Oh, make no mistake. The game is dog shit.
Dang.
But the traversal mechanic is absolutely out of this world amazing. So I said, hey, I'm going to give this the old college try. And so I played like 6-7 hours of it, maybe less. And basically, the problem is that when you're in combat, the camera really fights you hard.
Okay.
And it's super fast, like, and fluid combat. Like, everything feels really good, except for the fact that when you get swarmed by 2 or 3 enemies, you end up in a situation where you're getting hit really hard, but not able to see or turn the camera fast enough to get to that hit.
Yeah.
And so that was my problem with Solstice. I tried Solstice because I loved the art in it. I thought it was great. And when I tried it, it was on PS Premium, and I downloaded it, played it, and literally I was like, oh, dude, this is sick. This looks really cool. Kind of like early PS4 style. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And then you get to this square in the intro, and it's the fighting. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's get in there. And then all of a sudden, like, the way you start fighting, the camera is so jerky. I'm like, dude, I can't play this. It's not good. This sucks. And I stopped. Like, juddering, stuttering, flickering, that type of shit bothers me more than anything ever will in a video game.
I don't blame you for that. That performance should be shunned.
It really should. Which I think is why I harken back a lot to like old school titles, because they always feel so good to play now. they're always so buttery smooth, like Chained Echoes or Sea of Stars, like
Uh,
those retro like style games, like the new Ninja Turtles game that came out, like not no, I'm sorry, not the new one, the Shredder's Revenge. Like
yeah,
the those old style games always feel so fluid and so good
yeah, I love that game. I played
on
that
the
game
new
before.
systems. And so like
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. On the new systems for sure.
yeah. Like I mean because back in the day like you'd be running around in, you know, pick any NES game or SNES game and if you just move the screen in the right way the whole like person in front of you would just like flicker and ghost out and like you'd move and he would come back. Like they glitches were aplenty back back then. I actually think we have less glitches now than we did back then. But it was nothing to get a game on the weekend from Blockbuster, go home and put it in your Super Nintendo and oh, guess what? The game doesn't work. It glitches on the loading screen. Fantastic. Like this is what we had to deal with. All right, so uh this is why I don't hype UE5. It's shown to be a chugger of performance. Dude, and on PC? Yes. Huh. Oh, it was so bad. Was it Marvel Rivals that took you from... Oh! You know what? I think it was. I think it was Marvel Rivals. Because I actually got Atlas Fallen on the Christmas sale. Yeah, it was Marvel Rivals originally, and then Path of Exile 2. Uh, and now, so like today's my son's birthday, and for his birthday, of course, I had to get him a video game, and so I bought him Minecraft Dungeons,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I
bro,
can talk to you about that a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
bro, because and oh, I'm so excited. So I've been planting seeds along like his video game growth, right? Because he started off with a game with games like Geometry Dash, where I don't know if you've ever seen it. Dear God, it is addicting as all heck. Like I have wasted 20 minutes and thought it was 3 seconds at the computer just staring at the damn screen. It's insane. It's a little like rhythm-based game, and anyways. And then he moved up from that into Minecraft. Doesn't like Fortnite, doesn't like Mario Kart, loves Minecraft. Loves it, loves the building of it, loves everything. And so I was starting to play a game. I played Victor Vron, and he was like, "Dad, that looks really cool." I was like, "Yeah, man." He goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm a hunter. I'm going to kill all these dark, creepy things." And he goes, "Oh, that's fun. So you're like the hero." I was like, "Yeah, I'm the hero." Well, fast forward a little bit, and we move on, and I show him a couple other games: Torchlight, Warhammer, Chaos Bane, and these are all top-down isometric action adventure RPG games. Okay, and so like the whole time though, he's sitting there and he's getting more interested and more interested. And just recently with Warhammer Chaos Bane, I was like, "Hey, do you want to play this with me?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "All right, cool." So we made him his own character, got him his own profile, did all that, and then he started saying, I was like, "Hey, do you want a new video game for your birthday or for Christmas or whatnot?" And he was like, "Yeah, I do. I've been looking at a lot of stuff on YouTube Kids, like Minecraft Dungeons, Minecraft Legends." And I was like, "Really? What's Dungeons about?" I knew what it was about. And he was like, "Well, like you're going down in these caverns and you're killing all these mobs, and there's a lot more mobs than in regular Minecraft, and you don't really build anything, but there's like they tell you a story throughout of it." And I was like, "Oh, all right, cool." And so he's been playing that literally all night. He's probably still playing it right now. The kid opened it at 6, and he's that's 3 hours. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really great. Really quick, I don't want to touch on that. So both of my sons play Minecraft Dungeons with me, and I just got the PS4 hooked up in another room, and they don't spend a lot of time gaming. They do like Smash, they do like Mario Kart, and then they're really into Cat Quest 3 right now. I will throw that out there. They love Cat Quest 3. But like learning some of the RPG elements in dungeons, I feel like they did that pretty well for young people.
Mhm.
Uh, 'Cause, I start explaining percentages, to this is a 4 and a 6-year-old who I'm explaining it to.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm like, hey, there's a chance of this happening, and they're like 30%. Like, what? My 4-year-old's like 30. What does that mean? But they're starting to understand it, and I'm kind of appreciating some of the simplicities of Minecraft Dungeons. And then of course through PlayStation Plus, I have all of the DLC, or at least a significant portion. So there's just endless options to go in between, and these random weapons that spawn bees, or I mean, all these animals you can summon. But they are having an absolute blast. So I'm sure your son is, loving it.
Dude, I went in there and Falky, I see that you're back. I'll bring you in and introduce you in just a sec, or you can just jump in. Um, but I went in there to tell him goodnight, and I read, sang, and prayed, or I just sang and prayed tonight, and it's like, all right, cool. I went in there, looked at him, and he was just like glued to it. And so I held it, and I was like, hey, dude, I want you to be reading some of this. He goes, I don't have to read it. It reads it for me. I said, I can make it not. And I was like, I want you to read all of your menus and all of your stuff. And so I
Yeah,
was holding it, trying to see how to turn the subtitles on so he'd have to read those and all of that. Because I learned to read really well off of Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII. And so I know the power that video games can have in a child's brain when it clicks and what it can actually teach them about words and language and emotion and all of that. So I was like, hey, listen, I want you to read. But the thing was, is I was holding it, and he just kept looking at me, going, Dad, can I have my Switch back, please? Can I have it? I was like, yeah, I'm just looking for the setting. He goes, it's fine. I'll read it. Just give me my Switch. I was like, okay, okay. But it's really you sang poor. I mean, I have outside of me not being here, me being sick, or it being a time constraint, I have read, sang, and prayed every single night to my children since they were born. And
nice.
so that is something that we have done as it started out very much out of dire necessity to keep my anger and frustration in check with babies who don't sleep and who scream for whatever reason they want to scream for. And so I was like, I need some Jesus. And I was like, and so we would sing and I would pace back and forth nonstop. And I would sing and I would pace and I would sing and I would pace. And my goodness, it literally was at the foot of our bed, just back and forth doing that every single night. And it was because that was the only way to get my oldest to fall asleep. And so it all three every night. Yeah, dude, it's a lot. Like,
Yeah,
and
three.
so yeah, and then it turned into, hey, this is just our tradition, just what we do. Like, this is how we're gonna fall asleep. This is how we're gonna end our day. Anyways, we're not here to hear. Uh, I can't hear this, Thrifty. I'm a mandatory. My singing is actually not that bad. My rapping is way better, but y'all don't want to hear that either. So maybe we'll make that a goal. If y'all reach a certain goal, maybe I'll do a little rap for y'all. Just kidding. That'd be torture. All right, Falky, how the heck are you, man?
Hi. Yeah, no, not too bad. Sorry for being late again, as usual. Trying to work stuff at the same time. So, yeah, no, I'm doing well. Doing well. I'm really excited to be here with Kofi. We're both fanatical JRPG enthusiasts. So, yeah, this will be good.
Good, good,
Man,
good. I'm excited. I am. Hey, Thrifty, sorry I'm late, but thought I'd
Imagine
drop by
that.
and support the channel. Hey, Cosmic Hero with the 5. Dude, I appreciate that. Thank you. Pavlov and his slobbery dogs. Did you just call my... Or I don't know if you just called my kids dogs or not, but, it's fine. It's fine.
Is it Pavlov's dogs versus Schrodinger's cats?
I still prefer dogs. Still prefer the dogs. Slobbery and all. All right. Speaking of stuff to slobber over, holy cow. We're just going to dive into probably the most fun topic of the night. And, oh, hey, I actually have to move this up. Hang on. Because we don't have 4 topics. We have like 7. And I only could fit 6 on the screen. So, there's all of that. We have some JRPGs. And we have some RPGs. And we have some ARPGs. And we have some AA, AAAs. And we have some indies. And we have stuff that's not even on the picture I'm about to show y'all. And they're all coming out next year. And there's only
It is brilliant.
365 days. Go ahead, Falky.
Yeah. if you're a sucker like me who spends a lot of time working and doing studying and family time and all the rest of it, so it's sort of no secret. I don't make it a secret that I only budget like 500 hours a year for gaming,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, I'm like, don't even clear the first row, and I'm like, yeah, that's a 100-hour game. That's a 100-hour game. Yeah, that's it for me. Um, so yeah, with 500 hours, I can only do like 5 or 6 games a year because again, I like the JRPGs and the action RPGs and all those sort of ones. So um, I can get a couple of indie games in here and there, but that list is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's nutty. And this isn't even all of them. This has no trails on here. There's no Tales of Graces. Like this thing is missing stuff from this list. Like
Yeah,
but that's absolutely insane. So I look at this and I see right off the rip, I see one of the games I am purchasing this year. Unless as we get closer, it's revealed to be like just this hideous game and it's awful. Exodus is getting played day one by me nonstop until it's finished. That is going to be an amazing game. That's the people who made Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, and the people who made Dragon Age. So I am here. Monster Hunter Wilds, like that's a game that Josh is going to like convince me to purchase because he's going to have me so hyped about that stupid thing. And so then you have Expedition 33. All of those games, I guarantee you, are 100 hours.
easy, easy.
I,
I mean, I'm looking at the picture you sent me, and I've got Suikoden 1 and 2.
Right.
And the one that's not on here was it Luna?
Yeah.
Luna Remastered Collection. That one coming too. So there's 4 games that's it. I'm pretty much tapped out.
Right. I agree. I agree, man.
so
It's so easy to go like, oh, that's 4 games and 400 hours, or not, maybe not for those 4, but still, you get close. Squeeze
yeah.
in a 5th one, and
Well, these
you get
guys
to
who do
500.
they do these platinum runs with these 100% achievements. They're like, oh yeah, no, it takes 40 hours. I'm like 40 hours into a Yakuza game. I'm barely past halfway. I'm like, what were these guys doing? Did they have it on super speed or something? It's nuts.
So I
Yeah.
told everybody in the Discord. By the way, guys, y'all can join the Discord. There's a permalink in the description. But I was telling them in the Discord how long it took me to beat God of War Ragnarok, because it took me like 65 hours. Like it took me a long time, or maybe it was
Wow.
80 or something like that.
Oh
And
wow.
Josh was like, "But I platinumed it," and
Okay.
and I'm not good at finding trophies, and I did most of the platinum on my own until I got to the end. I couldn't find 2 of the ravens, and I couldn't find. There was something on the forest biome that I just couldn't. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I got so turned around in that biome, it was insane. But like, I don't play games fast. I just don't. I am over thorough, and even being over thorough, I miss so much stuff that I got to go back for. And so, like, Expedition 33, it says it's going to take about 50 hours. That means it's going to take me about 80. Metaphor, I was 50 hours into that game, and I hadn't reached halfway.
Mm.
I am now 88 hours into that game, and I'm probably 2/3. And like the people have platinumed it in 100. So like Falky, I get it, man. Like that's
I
me
feel
all
like
day
some people,
long.
they like speed through cutscenes or something. For
Oh,
some of them.
they must skip the whole, like, just hit the skip button and off they go. And I can appreciate for, the Yakuza series or the Uncharted series or some of the other ones where they've got those long cinematics in it, you could carve it down. I mean, some of the remote, like, if Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Delta comes out and you can skip through the cutscenes, you probably shave the game in half. But, some of the old school, and this is, showing my age, the old school JRPGs where you had to read everything. The
Mm-hmm.
speed of the game depended on how fast you could read. And I know it sounds silly, but if you read quickly like I do, you're just constantly hitting the X button and you put the text up to maximum speed, like really fast. So you just speed reading as it's popping up and you're just going, yep, all good, spam, hit the button and get to the next piece. But then, there are people who just skip the whole thing entirely, don't read any of it, and just go, now what am I doing? And then they figure it out and then off they go. So, I mean, I enjoy the stories. But ones where you're not reading and they've actually got to do the cinematics and all the rest of it can slow a game down a lot.
Mm.
Not to say that you don't appreciate it, but when you look at the list of games that are just in that picture, but all the other ones we know that are coming, well, Ghost of Yote's not in there. Naughty
Right.
Dog's talking about that in what is it?
Intergalactic.
Intergalactics.
Interstellar,
That
yeah,
game,
whatever.
Interstellar,
Intergalactic.
my favorite movie, but yeah,
for,
Intergalactic.
yeah. So for what they did, and they said here it is, and they put the blog post out and said now we're going off to finish it. But they've spoken about it again, and they've spoken about it again. And if it stays true to how PlayStation does their marketing, it may be 6 months to. It might be a June to September window release. So I don't think it is. I think it's 2026. But if they don't like talking about these things
Sorry.
too far out, especially Naughty Dog games, so it may be coming at that point. And then you've got there's a Xbox game that's not avowed. The other one that they were talking about doing,
Fable.
Perfect. No, Perfect Dark.
That's not
That,
coming
that
out ever. Stop it.
Well,
Stop it.
I'm not saying it's going to be any good, but I've been seeing bits and pieces about the onboard of that new person, and they're just going to spit it out in whatever condition it is at the end of the year.
Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, Lost Soul aside and Perfect Dark are just in a race to see who comes out first right now. Like that's it. Like
Yeah,
because they've both been
but
worked on for decades.
yeah, but then you've got all the other. There's a ton of PC games coming that look pretty interesting, and they're
Mhm.
not small games either. They're big ones. So you know, it's almost overwhelming to sit back and go, what the hell are we going to play next? Because yeah, it's just not just the size of the games and the time it takes to play them. Um, Persona 6 is supposedly somewhere. Um, I don't know why they'd be talking about Persona 6 in the background at the moment when the metaphor is only just released in the last 6 months, I think,
Right.
9 months, whenever it was. But it's talking up Persona 6. So yeah, these big long JRPG games and these big open world Western RPGs and some of these long sprawling narrative games, I just, the conversation around a game's too big versus smaller game. Like look how good Astrobot did, and it's only a
Mm. Mhm.
20, 30 hour game.
Yeah.
Man, it's just way too much. Too much. Go back to 3 or 4 good games a year, and you had to fill the rest of your time up with those shitty things from Blockbuster that didn't work.
It was so true though. That's all it was. So, Kofi, what about you, man? I know that you probably have your hand on so many others that are coming out, but from the list, like what do you see on here that has you like, dang, that's just going to be a time eater for me. That's going to be something I'm looking forward to.
The biggest one, and to be honest, I don't know if it's going to make a 2025 release, is Penny Blood.
Oh.
I think you guys are big fans of Shadow Hearts, Shadow Hearts Covenant, Shadow Hearts from the New World. These gems, unfortunately, are nowhere that legitimate purchasing locations could provide. And to see Matsuzo Machida bringing this, the spirit of Shadow Hearts back to life, I'm more than excited. Even though he's only shown, I think, a brief in-engine gameplay skit from 2022. If this game comes out this year, that will be a day one for me. I think the last thing I heard is, I am actually a backer back from 2022 when the Kickstarter started. But right now, I think they're running into a challenge as to who their publisher will be. So I'm very curious. Has that improved? To be honest, I need to go check the most recent email. And then when I bring up Penny Blood, I kind of have to bring up another franchise that kind of died with Sony, Wild Arms, because their successor, Armed Fantasia, is also in development, and I've seen a lot more updates in my email because I'm also a backer of them. And I'm not sure that will come out in 2025 either, but if it does, that would be for sure number 2. And I don't know if anybody's seen Arm Fantasia, but from the original trailer, it's got the exact same spirit of seeing Rudy Roughnight or Virginia Maxwell or Ashley Winchester, from the original Wild Arms trilogy. And it kind of has a lighter spirit, more like maybe Wild Arms 4 and Wild Arms 5. So I like that they're giving the blend. I'll be very honest, I did like the more dark overtones of Wild Arms 2, that being my favorite. But that music, the musical score, what's interesting? I know you guys have played Astrobot. The level that you're rebuilding your PlayStation on, the theme that the whistling theme, that is so much like how I feel is the Wild Arms sound was when you're on the world map. And so I found that so I don't know if it's like ironic or if it's just nostalgic, but that they chose that theme, because as soon as I drop down to that planet to repair, I go, this is the Wild Arms overworld theme, and I haven't listened to this since 2001, or a little bit more recent than that. But that's always really special. And of course, the latest, the third option will definitely come out this year. You guys probably saw me freaking out on Twitter that Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky is getting its full remake that will be released worldwide with English voice acting and additional storylines. And this is, the first RPG in a series of 15 games now. And all of these games take place in the same continent. There's a lot of conflict going on between countries.
Is it just 15? I thought it was more than that.
I might be
like, not that 15 is not a lot, but like I thought it was like up in the 20s.
It's not in the 20s just yet. If we're talking about all the ones that are chronologically connected, it's either 14 or 15. I'm even losing count now. Shoot, there's so many individual sagas, whether they have 3 games or 2 games or 4 games. One of them has 5, technically, kind of. Obviously, this title that is getting remade was the only one I played in English, and eventually inspired me to to study Japanese, to immerse in the language. And since then, I haven't returned to see any of the sequels in English. So I kind of want to really support this time around, and it's always because I'm always just buying the next game when it's available in Japan, and then when it comes out in English, I'm just buying other different games. So I don't usually ever buy things twice. But this is like the first time in 5 or 6 or 7 years that everybody gets to celebrate at the same time. Usually it's like a wave of all the Japanese players go, yay, and then they move on, and then the Americans go, oh, this is amazing, and then we're like, yeah, but it's kind of weird because we're on, like, for example, right now I am playing the newest title that is 2 games ahead. And so when fans are reacting to a game that came out for me in 2021, I'm like, that game is great, but I wish I could talk to you about what's happening right now. So that's always an interesting constraint, and to see that,
because we're getting another Trails, aren't we? We're getting another Trails game this year too, right?
Correct. So last summer was a brand new
Daybreak.
Correct. Daybreak was the 4th saga in the Trails series, and it's a great one. I mean, it's a great game. And the sequel to that, to your point, comes out it's either February or March. And I really like that game. I'll be very honest, I think it's going to be the most divisive title since 2019. Maybe we'll talk more about that when the game comes out.
Yeah, they're changing the combat in it, and it has people in a tizzy, which in the JRPG world, that can do that. As a Final Fantasy fan, that's.
I think, and the combat, for me, the combat, the action-based combat component to Trails to Daybreak isn't the reason why I think the game will be divisive, but it could be another reason. I do agree with that. So I don't want to say much more, but I will say this, that the current one I am playing, it's probably one of my favorite Trails games out of all 15. I would say like top 3 right now. I'm actually about 200 hours in,
No, wait,
and
you've already
coming in
played
on the
the. Have you already played Daybreak, whatever the new one's called? Not Daybreak 2, I don't think, but
correct, yeah, Daybreak 2, Crimson Sin. I
you've
have
already
played
played
that.
that?
Yeah, I played that in 2022.
Oh, that's right, because these are still. That's right. Never mind. You just said that. Okay. So.
So, but I know I went on a bit of a tangent, but the series is still in good hands. The original, creator of this series is still the president, or he wasn't the president when the first title came out, but he has been such a important piece moving forward through all these sagas, and it really is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of JRPGs. You see a person's arc, they kind of have a somewhat conclusive ending, but then you may or may not see them again in new conflicts with character growth. And it's in a time where technology is evolving, and there's conflict between countries, and there's politics, and there's secret organizations,
Mm.
and motives are changing with either characters dying or characters changing, through certain events, and that um, living organism that they've kind of created really is coming to life here later in the series, where you see a character show up and he's like, I've been through some things, but you kind of resonate with those statements when you played them many games before. You go, yeah, that character did, because I remember I did this, that, and this, or this happened to that character 5 or
Yeah,
6 games ago.
that's one of the
And
reasons why I'm excited with the Crossbell art, because I was talking to somebody. I can't remember if it was you, Nate, or Josh, and I was at the point where in Trails from Zero, you like chase down the wolf, you do the whole investigation with that, and then like the wolf saves you and becomes like this really cool thing that you can summon. Anyways, in that whole time, there's a dude that's like on the top of a cliff, and there's this girl with him, and I can't stand the girl. She seems conniving. She's just, oh, I don't like her. And so one of y'all three, I don't remember which one, was like, that's interesting. She's one of my favorite characters. And I was like, wait, are we talking about the same person? He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I was like, she's evil. She's like colluding with us behind our back to try to hurt us. Like that's not okay. And he was like, you just have to keep playing.
you got to keep playing. Last thing I'll say about the series that's really amazing is this first arc that's getting remade takes the perspective takes is taken from the perspective of somebody called a person called a bracer, and bracers are basically like mercenaries for
Uh-huh.
good, and they're represented in various towns throughout the continent, but each arc changes the role of the person that you're going to play the perspective of. So it's not a bracer in one country, then a bracer in another country. It's actually a bracer in one country, and then a police officer
Mm.
in another country,
Yep.
and then a student in a third country, and then the fourth country, the main character plays a role where he doesn't mind teaming up with villains. And I really appreciate his role, because there are so many people perceived as villains in the past, but he will work with them. And so when you see some of these villains, you're like, really? He's going to work with that person? I detest that person. And then this person goes, oh, well, this is why I did that. And you go, oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. This villain is really more in a gray area. And it
Yep.
creates a deeper appreciation for everything happening. So,
Well,
um,
and it's yeah. Anyways, I could really so Trails from Zero, even though I haven't beat it, it's a game where the dialogue, the story, and the characters have been etched into my brain, and like certain scenes, especially scenes involving the police chief, or I'm sorry, not the police chief, kind of your handler, as I would call him.
mm,
He like those scenes when he is talking to like the police chief, and like when you're having to go to that, like all of those interactions are so good, and they are so gray area.
yeah,
I love that because he's like trying to play both sides. He's trying to make sure that like he talks to us the way we need to be talked to, but then he also goes and like handles the police behind our backs, does certain like there's so many strings being anyways. Anyways,
Amen.
I love the game. So, wow, that was not supposed to take that long. Guys, we have been here for 45 minutes already. Now, 35 of those was me talking. So, let's get to the next topic and see if we can't get more out of the two guys who y'all came to all see. Next topic is going to be the next Xbox is rumored to launch in. Actually, nope, that's not the one. Because before they get to launch that, let me find it real quick. Oh crud! It didn't save it. We're gonna talk about Steam real quick because Steam is doing some pretty interesting stuff, like giving away their platform on handhelds for free. I didn't know that. Found that out today from Josh in the Discord, and because I was like, oh, that's cool. They're doing a handheld. That's pretty neat. That's awesome. And they were like, no, the big deal is that it's going to be free and Windows is charging $100. Okay. So we didn't get a handheld announced yesterday. Steam is licensing their platform to these other companies like Lenovo and not charging.
Correction. They're not licensing their platform. They're licensing their operating system.
Their operating system. My bad. You're right. The Steam Deck is their platform. You are absolutely right. Steam OS. I don't know where that article went. I had it, and now that's bothering me. Steam OS on Lenovo. Legion Go.
So basically, what they're saying is, if anyone wants to use our operating system, which, if correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the chat or the Discord is Linux based, then feel free to come and use it. And it's much more palatable for developers to work in that environment than it is on Windows, DirectX, and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got to pick an operating system to put in your handheld, like Logitech and ROG and whoever else is building one, then you can now either use the OS that Steam Deck uses, which means that you would be able to work all if you get Steam Deck verified, your game Steam Deck verified, you can also use it on Logitech, whatever it is coming out now. Or so there's it opens up to, obviously there'd be a licensing fee somewhere, but it opens it up to you, instead of being locked into the Steam Deck or locked into this one or locked into that one, they're now opening it up. So that's more attractive for Steam and Valve to say, hey, come and build it on our platform. Not only can they play it on any PC that can run Steam, you can also have Steam Deck verification, which will also work on these other ones. So it's, again, that notion of if you can't attract new players to the big pie and make the pie bigger, you've got to figure out a way to make your slice bigger with the same people that are there. And if it's being offered from Steam out to other technology companies as free, then I imagine there's a licensing fee in the back end for the developer to cough up to do it. But that would just be as part of Steam Deck verification. So it's like what Android did when they said, hey, we've got an operating system. If you want to use it, use it.
So I didn't find the article, but I found a article. And it's the exact headline that it says Steam ate Microsoft's lunch on PC and it's about to do the same on handhelds. So do y'all do y'all realize the course of events that have transpired with Xbox over the past 3 years? Like, I was just talking to Kofi before the show, and I have been doing this show now for about a year and a half. I have had the channel for almost 3 years. And that's actually a birthday coming up here in 10 days. Is the channel will be 3 years old from the first video I ever did. Please, for the love of God, don't go watch that video. It was over Tales of Arise, and amazing game, by the way. Fantastic game. Everything I said in that video was 100% accurate. But please don't go watch it. It was so terrible. But over the last 3 years, we have watched Xbox and Xbox loyalists, for one reason or another, make constant excuses for Xbox. Constant excuses. Like, oh, it's day and date on PC. That's fine. Oh, don't worry, the Series S will be great. It's look how much power it has. It's fine. It'll be able to do 1080 or 1440p 60. It can do 120 1080. It can do all of that. Okay. Don't worry, our games look fine. Our games are fine. Redfall was an accident. It was fine. That's whatever. It was Arcane. It was their fault. Okay. Um,
I've got a
Hi-Fi
good one
Rush.
for you if you want to add to it.
No, please, please.
No, I don't. This talking about the apologists that say, "Oh yeah, it's all good," and diverting into that games that run like rubbish and that is acceptable. Is seen the back and forth with Nib and someone else. Someone else replicated a Series S and proved that Black Myth Wukong would work on a Series S,
Mm-hmm.
and it was janky as crap. The graphics were rubbish, and it looked like worse than Redfall. Right, worse than Redfall.
Yep.
And their argument was, see, it does work. There's no reason why they can't do it. It's a load of shit. The devs are lying. And I just looked at it and went, if you're saying that this is the acceptable standard, just fuck off. That is,
So
we're not regressing in this industry. Yeah, it works. It doesn't mean that you should do it. And there's been
it
multiple
runs.
instances over the last 5 years where it runs, but it runs like shit.
Right.
And Xbox says, that's fair enough, it runs, you'll enjoy it. And most gamers will go, the only way you will get us to enjoy something is if we are nostalgically attached to that series, and then we will give you some forgiveness. Or it's a known issue that is there on purpose. Because even back in the PS1, the Sega Mega Drive, the Super Nintendo, even way back then, they would make games. They would have little bugs and glitches in them, and they were just part of the fun. But they weren't game breaking, and we knew what to expect. And as we've progressed forward, people start making apologies for something that has been declared to be this monster, and then all of a sudden it can't do it. But because they said this thing is the best ever since sliced bread was invented, and suddenly it can't keep up with other ones that have just been nice and humble and quiet about it, all of a sudden it's like, oh no, we have to protect it. Pin your colours to the mast for all I care, but it's not a great gaming experience. And I really don't know how you could play something like Black Myth Wukong or Redfall or any of the other disasters. And it's not just on Xbox. There's been some on PlayStation, there's been some on PC, there's been some on handhelds, where you need these timing events of parry or these timing events of like trying to play Fortnite or shooters or something like that, and they're just janky as shit. It's not a pleasurable gaming experience. So if you're happy to make apologies for at the cost of the experience, you're making apologies because you want to win an argument. Again, with all sincerity, go do one with a rusty fishhook.
Okay. Dang. All right, a rusty fishhook. I like it. um,
Thank
Kofi.
you for allowing me to prattle on.
No, you're good. You just you said go do it with a rusty fishhook, and then you just dropped off, and I was like, oh, did he go silent, or did he just drop the mic and just walk off stage? Like, what just happened?
I thought you were gonna say something else. I was like, let me finish.
That's what I thought too. So you have everything that we've mentioned, and then you have, like Jez calls it, the Valentine's Day massacre that happened. And then after that, you have Hi-Fi Rush, along with that, you had Hi-Fi Rush, you had all of the layoffs, ended up totaling like 8,000 or 9,000, I don't know. I found the number a couple weeks ago. But it's absolutely nutty. And then video games coming everywhere. Don't worry, it's just 4. Don't worry, it's just 4. That doesn't mean the whole slate. 2, Tim Stewart and Satya having this little battle back and forth with Phil Spencer. One will go to a meeting and say, no, it's the whole slate. Everything's coming. We love our partners over at PlayStation and Nintendo. They're great. It's amazing. No, it's there. Have you seen the numbers? Everything is going. There's nothing. To Phil Spencer, well, it's a case by case. It's this and no. And then now finally, Phil's been beaten into submission, and There is no red line anywhere. What are we going to do about a console, Phil? What do you mean? Well, our console is shit. Developers don't want to make anything on it, and we got our ass dog walked by the PS5. Oh, and remember the PS5 Pro that everybody said nobody wanted because it was too pricey? Yeah, it kicked our ass 5 in conjunction with the PS5, 5-1 in the month of November.
Mm.
We didn't sell 1 million in the month of November. You know,
It's
the
done.
busiest.
It's
Yeah, it's
finished.
gone.
Its cycle is 5 years because that's all that the supporter base is going to give it. It's done.
But
And that's a sad thing to think of when you consider where they were a decade ago.
But now they're trying to go into handhelds, and the problem is there are companies who have been doing it longer, doing it better, and have more goodwill with their clients and their client base than Microsoft will ever have. And that's Steam.
Oh, it's. I got asked this question the other day, and I didn't respond to it on Twitter because, or X rather, because we all know how crazy that thing is when you start trying to talk sensibility. And I just and this was with a couple of other things that have happened we might touch on with the guy that was Destin Legary has quit IGN and is going out on his own, and then his Patreon thing was going to be a conversation with Ronald, and they were going to talk about the next handheld, and I haven't seen anything coming out of that conversation, if it's even happened. I'm not terribly interested, but I'm surprised that that guy at Xbox, this wizard, has still got a job, because they sacked the entire team, or they got rid of the entire team, sacked a heap of people, transitioned those that were left over to the Microsoft Surface Pro development team because they're working on that ARM Surface Pro laptop piece. And then all of a sudden they spring up over here and say, yeah, we're going to look at making a handheld. What are they? They outsourced from Xbox their hardware development to their tablet, whatever the hell a Surface Pro is considered these days, hybrid laptop, tablet, whatever that is. Those things perform like shit on a good day. Where is the positive here? They're going to go and make a handheld? Who are they going to get to build it? I wouldn't give it to the Surface Pro team. They can't even build a tablet that lasts 6 months in a business environment where people look after them. They're certainly not going to beat the Switch 2 when that thing comes out. Steam Decks look pretty good. Logitech seems to think that there's a sensibility in continuing there. You saw that 11-inch monster come out of CES, whoever the hell made that. You've got a ROG Ally. You've got all these other things being made. The handheld market's about to get absolutely swamped.
Yeah, it is.
And the one sitting atop of the kingdom is the Switch. Now, why would you want to, after getting your ass kicked severely in multiple different methods and manners by your console rival, you couldn't even compete with your cloud gaming rivals. So they just decided to pack up and go home because they didn't see a future in it. There's still no decent xCloud. Why would you go and try and take on Nintendo? PlayStation doesn't even fuck around with Nintendo. They respectfully look at each other from across the aisle and go, yep, you do yours, I'll do mine, we'll both make plenty of money. Don't go and try and compete with Nintendo. They will dog walk you worse than what PlayStation did, because Nintendo will play dirty.
I thought it was such an interesting moment at the Game Awards when Team Asobi was up there, and they were like, shout out to Nintendo, shout out to Mario, like, just...
As I said, I thought it was great because they didn't get in trouble for it as well, so there's an awful lot of respect in that, but they mentioned characters, and they mentioned specific games, but they never said Nintendo.
Right.
Like, everyone knew who they were talking about. So
yeah, I think he even said, I can't say the name.
Oh.
I can't say the name, but Mario and Luigi and this blah 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 and Team Red, and I went, oh, he's Team Red, he's getting close, but
Gotcha.
yeah, but credit where credit's due. Sony's never the first to do something. It's very rarely the first to ever do something. But when they see something that's worth doing well, that's when they grab it and they do that, put their magic on it, and they make it brilliant. But
yeah, and
Sony's not an innovator. Sony is a creator, but they're not an innovator. And they know that. They don't take those sort of risks. But, without Nintendo, we wouldn't be where we are. But, they all play so nicely. The Japanese Nintendo, Sony, and the 6 Japanese publishers, they all play nice with each other because they all make a shitload of money working together. And if
Now,
Xbox thinks that after getting spanked so many times by PlayStation that they're going to be able to compete in that market, they got spanked by Steam on PC.
mm-hmm.
They can't even compete with Steam on PC, and Microsoft makes the damn operating system on nearly every home PC. It's insane the stupidity that they think they're going with.
It's
I think
because
the
home.
thing that puzzles me the most is something as simple, and PlayStation has struggled with this too. Something as simple as a competent store to purchase your games from, right? Because
Yeah,
Microsoft had a Microsoft store, and I remember buying. Oh, there was a game I bought on there,
Quantic Dreams,
Not Quantic Dream. It's called Quantum.
Quantum Error.
Oh, not Quantum.
Was this an old one?
This is a Remedy game.
Oh,
Quantum.
Uh,
I'm forgetting it. A game where like you can slow down time. Quantum Break.
I was about to Google it. I was like, because I knew what you were talking about. I was like, what the hell is that? Go ahead.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is Quantum Break. The version of the game that you could buy from the Microsoft Store was broken. At least it was broken for my hardware specs. I think I had a 1080, maybe it was a 1070 at the time, and they never fixed it. There was a community on, it was either Reddit or I don't know, some community I found that if you changed some files, it would fix a constant like frame stuttering during all cutscenes of the game. Absolutely mind shattering how bad the store was. And refunds and writing reviews and managing customer feedback. The Microsoft Store never did any of those things well. And to Falky's point, the fact that Windows OS is such a prominent platform everywhere, and you can't get enough engineers to make a store work, forget compelling software. What if you do have compelling software and nobody wants to deal with your Epic Store competitor or Steam competitor? It's ridiculous. So I think that that'll be the first challenge they'll have if they do want to create some sort of, Steam OS competitor that can be packaged cleanly. You really need to give people an option on how to buy games on Windows that's not broken, that just feels competent.
So, what you said resonated with me so much about the store for the PlayStation. It hasn't been functionally good ever.
I was gonna say PlayStation is not exactly out of the mud with that one either. I think the PS5 is better than PS4 and 3. But
yes,
it's still got some problems.
it still has. I need to be able to sort shit the way I want to sort it, and I can't, and it bothers me. I can't. It should be able to take out games that, like, instead of showing me the price of the game, and then at the very bottom, instead of the price, when I search, like, because Thrifty, hey, I search from low to high because I'm looking for good deals. But at the very top of the page, it'll always give you what's included in your subscription. But when you click on it to purchase it, it's like $50. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want, you dummy. I want the ones that are cheap, not the ones that I can play in a subservice. And it's, oh my, just minor annoyance. But like,
it depends on where you access it though. If you access it online through a computer, the PlayStation Store through the browser, you can do so much more filtering and finessing and all the rest of it than you can on the console. And the console is infinitely better than on the app. But at no stage will it ever sort that I can get it to do. When a game is on sale, it will only ever sort on the price that's the original price, not the sale price. So it's not only is it horrible across multiple different access points, it's also horrible across multiple different regions because the store's not the same across all the regions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I use the well, it's like one thing I like about the PlayStation ecosystem with the different regions is I can buy the Japanese version of the game with my Japanese account and immediately share it with my American account on the same console, no issue. But another issue is, what if I want to gift a game? Not even a feature. What if I want some sort of competent way of refunding? Not gonna happen. So
Kiss. Ooh.
Semicolon.
they have so much to work
Oh.
on.
Oh, I'm so pissed. Oh, you pulled my cord, damn it. So the freaking Atlas Fallen. I played a whole 15, 20 minutes of that damn game. I contact PlayStation support. I'm a tier 4 member. Surely enough, I've heard somewhere that they give a 2-hour window. Awesome. That's a damn lie. There is no 2-hour window. There is no nothing. If you download the game and open the game, if you play the game for 1 second, not even the title screen has to show up. If you launch the fucking app, you're done.
Yup.
You now own that game. That is the dumbest and most anti-consumer thing I have ever seen from a publisher, from a developer, or from a video game company. That is ridiculous.
Could not agree more.
And it's the one thing I have I have tried super hard to find a lot of shit that Sony does wrong so I don't come off as just a little Sony pony and all this other stuff. I try to call it down the middle. I really do. But for so many years, just like King Thrash said, for so many years we've just been looking and go, what the hell do you want me to say bad about Sony? What? The PlayStation is dog walking the Xbox? What? You have these games that are coming out that are melting people's eyeballs? What? Like what? They're not doing anything wrong. Found it. Found it. Found the thing. Because it's horseshit.
I'm probably gonna not make any friends on the panel by saying this. I have a different perspective of that returns policy for digital games, and it's rooted in a dislike, put it that
I'm
way,
listening.
of the comparative between what we used to do with physical and what the new world order is with digital service. So in the old world of physical, they used to run off the games physically, and then we'd buy a disc, we'd put the disc in, and off we go, and it was ours for forever. As long as we could keep that console running, it was ours.
Yeah.
All good. Happy days, right? So all the licensing agreements and all the other shit to go along with doing that game was one and done. That was it. The amount of copies that they made, that's how they paid the fees for and all the rest of it. And if we didn't like the game, we could go and trade it, or we could sell it, we could give it away, do whatever we wanted with it, because it was ours to fiddle around with.
Right. It was our game.
Ours. We've had physical control over it, even though in the terms of use, it's always been that we were only buying a license to access that. So we have only ever been buying a license, except there was no way they could enforce that part of the agreement. And PlayStation, on several occasions, have come out and said, "Hey, we updated our terms, a couple of years ago. Got a terms of service update." Everyone was up in arms about, "Oh, there's this crap about you can't sell physical games." And Shuhei came out and said, "Yeah, no, we just have to put that in there. We're not going to police it, but it's in there because the regulations say we have to." So having something there and not policing it, it's fine. But it was basically ours to do what we wanted with. In the modern era of digital information, when you buy the license to access a digital game, the licensing requirements around what's in that game may not be in perpetuity. They may be based off current library access and all the rest. Because remember, they're talking back and forth with our library all the time. If we've bought the license, we've got a right to access that game. They have to provide the access to us. But if we want to cancel that license after we've already done the access, they've already incurred the cost of all this licensing agreements and all the rest of it. They're not going to want to give that up in a hurry, but they won't let us give it to someone else. It's the not letting us do something with it that pisses me off. But I can understand their position of, well, you've played it. I'm not going to give you a refund because I can't take this thing now and sell it to someone else because I've got an infinite number of copies. And it's the operation of the storefront and the data centers and all that sort of stuff that are required to run these things is where all the costs are associated now. That's far more expensive than printing off discs. But I'm not upset about them not being able to refund me a game that I've bought that I don't like. I'm pissed off that I can't do anything with it. And that's the piece that annoys me. If I made a bad investment, that's on me because I either didn't research it or it didn't live up to the hype or whatever, it's fine. But if I'm buying it out of their store, then let's not forget that the storefront from Sony is them basically being a retailer for whatever the publishers are putting on that platform. It's no different to going to GameStop. But if they've already done the deal and they can't then resell that copy, they've already put the money through for that sale. If I'm the retailer, I'm not going to sit there and be out of pocket for it. So I'm going to tell the person who wants to sell it back to me, no, you can't, because the publisher's not going to give me the money back. Well,
And
the issue with Cyberpunk 2077 was such a big deal in a business sense that CDPR actually said, no, we will honour the refunds through the storefronts. Doesn't matter where you bought it.
yep.
And we will do the refunds, because up until that point, there was no chance that refunds were going to happen.
So I understand what you're saying. I really do. And the thinking about my time purchase, when you brought up GameStop, it really kind of clicked something in my head. There were a couple times that I purchased a game, brand new. I didn't do it often because I always wanted the ability to not take that massive hit on a game if I didn't like it. So I would usually buy pre-owned. Why was that? That was because the policy has always been, if you take it home and you open it out of the wrapper, once you take the wrapper off and break that seal, that game is yours. You now own that. The only way you could take it back was if it was unopened, still in box, or still in case. And that's always been the rule. But I think you're right. What I'm more pissed off about is I spent money on it, for one, and that frustrates me because it sucks. And I even forced myself to play it. And I'm still probably going to force myself to play it now just because I'm wanting to prove a point. Anyways, I hate the game, but I spent money on it, and I believe in spending money on stuff you're going to play. Anyways, it's the fact that I can't do a damn thing with it. That bothers me to no end. Because you're right. If I used to have a rule where I would buy a game, and if I really liked it, I would trade it back in and then get it digitally on sale. So that way, I would play it, beat it, and then buy it digitally on sale when it dropped down to $10, $5, whatever. That way, I always got it, and I always got the most amount for it because I didn't just hold on to it and keep it in my library. And so I always had good revolving credit at the GameStop or the Funko Land. And like, I've done that for years. And then I got to the point where I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm buying 3 new games a year, and everything else is pre-owned, and I don't care. And if I get it digitally, I get it digitally. And then the big move to physical happened, or I'm sorry, the big move to digital happened, and it's man, I freaking hate the fact that I feel like if you purchased it from Sony, it is way easier for Sony to look at you and go, okay, cool, you don't like it. Got it. We can go ahead and take our game back out of your library. I know they can do that because they've removed games from my library before when my account got hacked. And they gave me all the money back that the people who hacked my card used to purchase those games. So I know they can do it. The whole process took the dude like 15 minutes. And that was for like 5 games. It would have been so much faster if it was just one game. But anyways, those are the type of things that these two companies do that Steam doesn't. Steam is getting my head to turn and to go, huh, what's that? I like handhelds. I like not having to spend $800 on a Steam Deck, but I could go get a Lenovo Go for $300, $400. That sounds good. I like Falky mentioned earlier. There's a shit ton of indie titles that come over to Steam way before they come over to the PlayStation.
This is true.
I love a good indie title.
Oh yeah, they're brilliant.
I agree too. That like I'm looking for a handheld right now. It probably won't be a Nintendo system. I mean, I'll probably have one, but it's more for my family. And,
Right.
The Legion, right?
Yeah, the Legion Go.
One of my friends, he has the Legion, and it was running Destiny 2 on it, and it was nice. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, okay, this thing is nice. I think it's about $700. And I was like impressed with it. But I do like being in the PlayStation ecosystem just because of my habit of importing games. There's still certain type, like for example, this Trails game I'm playing at, it's been out since September. It is nowhere except for PlayStation. You cannot get it on Steam anywhere. Well, the Chinese version technically is on Steam, but I don't know Chinese. So because of that, I kind of like, I'll maybe get a Portal for sale, or maybe I'll see if PlayStation will get some sort of portable thing. But yes, the Lenovo Go for some of these really cool Steam only titles is, I'm definitely feeling that. Like there's a couple things that have been in beta as of late that I
Right?
want. I'm trying to think of an example.
And PlayStation's trying hard to match that beta game. They're trying like, okay, this is a thing. People love it. Like,
Yeah,
I don't ever remember us getting betas until like this year. I really don't remember PlayStation ever even allowing betas on their system until this year.
and you mean like for free games, right? Like service games.
Yeah.
It's definitely more prevalent than it was 5 years ago. I think there's maybe one or two things that we could say, but they were only on the Japan side. Like, for example, Fantasy Star Online 2 was, I think they did have a bit, but it was only in Japan and it was region locked.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think if there's anything
Huh.
else that was
So
big.
we had a question in the chat, and before we get off of Xbox, at least on this topic, um, here's the where was it? Where did it go? I literally just had it. Hang on. Oh, here we go. So when does this is from Toolman55, been a long time supporter of the channel. Long time, long time, long time. When does Satya say enough with Xbox and Game Pass? Ooh, Falky, that's a numbers question. How bad does
Yeah.
it have to get, sir?
Oh,
That's a good question.
how many times have we in the last 7 years sat around, had a conversation, looked at it, and went, "Geez, that thing performs like crap.
A lot.
Surely it's got to be on its last legs." And somehow they find a way to take their lumps, front up. Bill says sorry. We'll do better. We'll pivot. We'll do something different. They come up with some really harebrained scheme that does bugger all, and then uh, they come out with something that everyone gets excited about, and then off they go again for another 12 months. It any sensible business decision that should have been made already. Like, they've still got 2,500 people that they haven't laid off yet in Xbox from the Activision acquisition. So they're carrying an awful lot of additional expense they shouldn't be. But in terms of, is the thing making money? It's not really. Like, the hardware sales are tanked. The software sales are flatlining. They're now going to do this big push with putting everything on PlayStation, and they're going to translate over to a third party. Look, if they don't have hardware and they're just a third party publisher and PC stuff, Game Pass has a place within that. In its current structure, I don't think so, but a restructured version of it, similar to what, so some more, sort of a hybrid between what PlayStation does with its levels, but also looking at like a proper subscription service would have your base levels got your base stuff in it, and then your premium levels either got your back catalog or your early access and that sort of stuff. They've got a livelihood in front of them. The problem is they need to cut bait and run to that money inflow and really trim it up really quickly, because if they don't, they're just going to keep bleeding cash. And looking at the financials and the pressure that Microsoft is going to face in the next 18 months to 2 years, it's not looking great for the management that's there. Will they shut it down? I don't foresee it happening in the next 12 months unless something drastic happens, because now they've committed to being, no red line. It's not just 4 games, it's whatever we can send. That selling those games might help it out, but it's certainly not profitable in standing on its own 2 feet, which means that it's technically worthless to sell it. the massive amounts of money that they've spent on getting Activision and Blizzard and all the rest of it. If it's not generating cash flow, the only way you can basically put a price tag on it is to look at its assets. And if you strip Xbox out of under the Microsoft environment, which has been my biggest gripe all along, is that they don't take advantage of the benefits they get. All of a sudden, you've got to factor in all the technology costs that they get for free at the moment with Azure and the software and Windows and all the development tools and all that. So it makes it a very untenable proposition for them to sell it. It'd just be easier to shut it down and then license out the IP. But at that point, they're taking the Disney approach. I don't think that's the right answer for them either, because they will effectively become a third-party publisher that doesn't do anything. They won't have hardly any control over anything anymore. So, what does their future look like? It's going to be more pain before it gets better, but there's going to be some serious soul searching and some heads will have to change.
So, if people say Xbox is going the Sega route, how do you feel about that?
I think that they should have pulled the lever on that. They should have pulled the lever on that 3 years ago and not bothered with the Series S.
Yep.
And they're at a point now where, as we were saying before, if they try to compete in the handheld market, which is about to be an oversaturated market, and the dominant player there is still the dominant player, no, what's the point? They're going to waste money going into an area that they're going to then be focused on to try and win market share, and they're going to be competing for even less opportunity of market share. And they can't stay where they are in the hardware environment, so they might as well just go software only. And they should do that as soon as possible. Who cares if the games are playable on Windows, Steam, Nintendo, PlayStation, your LG refrigerator, everything's an Xbox. Who cares? If they're making money and they're able to actually survive, but the caveat is the games have to be worth playing.
That's what I was going to say. Like,
you can't rely on shitty games.
You can't, and that's been the problem. Whether you give it to me on a handheld, a Series S, or a Series X, or a PC, your games have been predominantly shit. Like, and I say that because everyone's going to go, well, Indiana Jones scored great. Yes, it did. Fantastic. What about Hi-Fi Rush? The studio got closed. Like, they don't have a lot of good things. They don't have a lot of good stuff. They don't have a lot of publishers or other developers who actually want to work with them. They have people who have to work with them, but they don't have people who want to work with them. And so, to Toolman's question, though, before I go even further on that, I think that the Xbox is doing this approach right now, which I kind of think might actually save their ass just a bit from having to go the way of Sega. Just a bit. And I mean by getting out of the console space. I think they're going third party altogether. I think their games will be everywhere, but if you want to be a part of the Xbox ecosystem, they are still going to offer that as a... And this is different from what I had been thinking. If this console is real, and if this new thing that they're trying to do is real, because they're going to get dog-walked in handheld. Like, just like everything else, they are way too late to the party. Cloud, they were too late to the party, thought they were doing good, and then Sony comes out and goes, yeah, no, we're already there. As a matter of fact, 200 plus games. How many y'all got? 50? Oh, cool. Can they do 1080p 60? They can't? Okay, yeah, y'all suck. Go sit back down. Like, every single thing that Microsoft does, they're always too late on. The one time they weren't too late, they actually did pretty good during the Xbox One generation. Or early on in the Xbox One generation, when they released a year prior to the PS4. Like, they were able to get a leg up, and then they squandered it, but at least it worked at the beginning. But the thing that made it go down was the lack of games. And the lack of quality games. So, to Falky's point, if they stop trying to focus on what they absolutely suck at, which is the hardware, the console. Gandalf needs to be so far away from engineering a new console. I cannot tell you how bad that guy set the Xbox ecosystem back an entire generation. He's not smart. It's not his beard epic. Dude has a sick beard. Everything else, I am so happy I have a dude that looks like he got swirlies in middle school as our PC engineer or as our PlayStation engineer.
The beard does not the wise man make.
No, it looks sick though. But like, damn. So Game Pass is going to have to get to a point where they can no longer justify using the Game Pass money to pay for these titles. I think we're getting close.
It's not. That was we were chatting about this before the show. That the money that Game Pass makes is less than a third of what its potential is if the 30 million subscribers are all paying full bang. And they're generating less than $2 billion revenue out of those subscriptions, then they should be somewhere up near 6, right? And
yeah.
The cost of putting games in there for their third-party offerings that are in there, from an article that came out, it was around when Baldur's Gate 3 launched.
Oh, the $1 billion a year?
It's more than that. It's like $1.5 billion for 30 games or something stupid like that. And they've got over 300 in there. It's completely unsustainable. So indies are getting ripped a new one, and they're getting nothing out of it. The big AAA guys don't go anywhere near it. If you've noticed, they still won't go anywhere near it. So you're left with the AA stuff and whatever they can pull out. So they had to buy Activision to fill it up with games, but now they still can't. They can't afford to make the games to fill it. It's making no money. It's not generating enough cash to sustain itself. So they need the sales in the other areas because year before last, Xbox made 16 billion in revenue, they had reported 16 billion in revenue. But if only 2 billion in revenue came from at max, 2 billion came from Game Pass, on services and subscription sales, and 3 billion was from hardware. The $11 point something billion dollars came from sales of something. So the notion that Game Pass is the future of Xbox is garbage. It can't even sustain itself, let alone the rest of the organization. The hardware sales have tanked that much. I'd be surprised if they cracked the $1 billion mark for this year. And so whatever's left is coming from software sales. And since they've got Bethesda and then they got Activision, you can see the appetite from senior management spending $80+ billion are looking at it going, Christ, we can make $1 billion worth of revenue selling this thing on just selling COD on PlayStation. We can do it by selling it on Steam. We can do all this money by selling it here. Bill doesn't want to do that because he wants to win some kind of war around, mine's better than yours and I'm going to race you to the bottom. And his whole team is bought into that. Satch is sitting there saying, screw that. Shareholders want returns. You bought these things on a promise. It's not delivered any positives to the shareholders, so I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. And that's why we've got to where we are. Game Pass is not providing diddly squat. And I will argue anyone on that point, and I will challenge anyone to prove me wrong.
I actually have the article pulled up because, like I said, the things with Xbox are all intertwined. It's all been built up over all of these bad decisions. Decisions that Jez, Salty, J-Dub, Thrash, all of them, P-Rock, all these guys, all of them were saying it way long before me. All of these decisions add up. And all of these decisions have led to this moment now where we have analysts. We need an actual analyst to tell us that Game Pass hurts Xbox game sales by a whopping 80%. We didn't need analysts for that. Call of Duty told us that. Like, we didn't need some dude in a suit to come in here and go, hey, those numbers ain't that good. Well, no kidding.
Could you imagine if they actually did the deal and then said Call of Duty is Game Pass exclusive. Do you imagine the financial hemorrhage that would have occurred if they didn't sell that thing everywhere that they were? It's just phenomenal that they would even have considered that.
It's insane. And Jim Ryan, 2 years ago, I believe, literally said that Game Pass will cannibalize sales. That's why they will never put their games day and date into PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
Right.
Smartest decision they've ever made. As a matter of fact, they followed it up with a really dumb one. And by a year after Horizon Forbidden West got released, putting it on Game Pass, and the developers came out and even said, yeah, that actually hurt the sales by quite a bit. It actually tanked our sales. Or putting it on, PS Plus. Yeah, putting it on Game Pass would absolutely tank the sales.
Yeah.
would absolutely murder it.
So it murders the sales of the games themselves, but the trade-off to like the one with Horizon Forbidden West, the trade-off to that was they got a massive jump in that quarter in subscriptions. So if you're robbing Peter to pay Paul and you come out break even, there's a question there of why did we even bother doing this? Because we're setting an expectation that we're now no longer going to achieve. If the data said take it off sale, put it in the subscription service, and we make more money, then the argument is, well, we just do that. But what's clear is if you take it off sale and you put it in the Game Pass subscription service or even PlayStation Plus subscription service, it stops selling. You stop making as much money. That's nonsensical. There is no lost lead strategy here because you're not going to make it back anywhere else. You have basically put money in the fire and said, I don't want it.
Oh shit, that's a really good point. I didn't think of it like that.
There's no benefit. You're putting stuff in subscription services if it's not going to increase your unit sales of your console, or it's not going to get a bump in your subscription service purchases, or even an uplift from basic to premium. If the loss on the sales of the game is not covered by whatever's coming in the other end, then it's pointless to do it. It's why PlayStation says they don't see PC. Their strategy with PC is hurting their console sales or their game sales on their console. And the first thing people say is, "We'll make it day and date." Like, no, that's why they don't do it. It's not hurting them, is because they're not doing it day one.
Right.
Dumbasses that make these comments. It's like, do they think these companies are run by men in suits that have just finished the second grade? Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, to be fair, when you listen to what Xbox is doing, that might be who runs their companies.
Like, it's Phil and his frat boy.
I'm just saying, like, when you look at what they're doing, I have to ask, guys. Listen, my fifth grader makes better life decisions than y'all do. Can anything? No, like shit.
Oh, it's a pain.
So,
look,
Kofi,
I love beating up on business stuff all the time. I'm just gonna have to give a warning. I'm gonna have to head off at 3:30.
Oh, okay.
3:30 my time. So in about 10 minutes, I'm gonna have to head off.
In about 10 minutes. Okay, that's cool, man. So, Kofi, what do you make of all of this? I mean, Game Pass, we know it hurt their sales. That wasn't anything rocket science like, but it's why the hell did it take the rest of the industry and business analysts so long to catch up with gaming YouTube plebs? Like, what? What?
You bring up a great question. Why? There's obvious data that suggests a subscription model for gaming is not going to be sustainable, at least at this scale, right? Because I think former PlayStation Studios lead Sean Layden said maybe it would work if you had millions more subscribers, like 150 million subscribers.
Yeah.
But I think the reason it worked is oh my god, I'm forgetting his name. Oh my gosh. Phil Spencer's narrative of Game Pass spoke to gamers who are tired of paying $70 for games or
Sure.
$60 for games. And games getting DLC announced before the title's release made people upset. Like, oh, I mean, this has been happening for a few years now. Like, for example, Dead or Alive 6. Like, oh, this is so great, but don't worry, there's DLC coming. We're not going to launch it with the game, but, even though the game's not out, you're going to pay $29 for Season Pass. People are like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to spend all this money on these games. And so Phil kind of, I think, took advantage of that and said, guess what? You can pay $1 during our promotional time, and you get all the games. And DLC is discounted, or maybe even included in that dollar. People go, yo, Xbox is back because they're doing something revolutionary. But really, it was just that we hadn't seen it at that scale for games, but other mediums are already struggling with that, right? Whether it being streaming and individual artists not making a lot of money back, or movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, I'll be honest, I pay for Netflix. Netflix has some good movies, but there's a lot of trash. There's a lot of stuff I'm scrolling through. I'm like, this is no. So, because other models, I guess, we're not gaming, and maybe the audience is a little bit different from movies or streaming music. It brought this freshness to what felt like inflating, cost of games. And of course, we want to pay the developers, right? We hear about, and that's the other thing. We're all on Twitter, and we hear developers also struggling with income, right? If you live in California and you make $100,000 a year, for a lot of people in the country, you're pretty good. But for San Francisco, that might be like, I hate to say it, like average. I mean, if you're like a family of 4 and you're, maybe commuting really tough commute, and you have the 2 cars. And so I think Phil was able to take advantage of all that by selling us the idea of the same game experience for a cheaper price. And not just that, a gradually improving gaming experience, right? Because like every generation, the games are better, the stories are better, the graphics are better, the multiplayer is going to be better, for some sort of like subscription rate. And he did a good job. He did a good job of that. I remember being upset with the idea of Game Pass because at the time when it was announced, 2017, I probably have said this before. My best friend is like pro Xbox to his core, and him and I fight all the time. He and to give a little background on him, he used to be a PlayStation diehard because of the JRPGs. We kind of grew up together playing the Final Fantasy. So he's very experienced in the old PlayStation. Anyway, I say all that to say, as soon as Xbox announced Game Pass, he went from feeling dejected about the Xbox ecosystem to, oh my gosh, Xbox is back. This is going to be, the new, era. PlayStation's in trouble. And I argued with him about this, and so it was a sensitive topic not like in any real sense, but I mean, we always would yell at each other about this, and I just never believed that you could pay a subscription and everybody wins. It just doesn't feel economically sound to me. I'm not a big economic type person. Like, Falky, God bless you, man, because you definitely give me a lot of advice. But I just on the surface, it just didn't feel right. So
a
bit of a ramble.
If you start giving stuff away, and all the promises that they made that it would be this, it would be that, games day 1, all these games are coming, 12 games in 12 months, here's all this stuff, here's that. They constantly promised and hyped and hyped and hyped. And we're into year 8, and it's all empty words. They even go back to June. They had that Xbox Live, and Xbox was back, and this was great, and look at all these games, and they rifled through that whole list. No delivery date, no delivery date, no delivery date, no delivery date. One more thing. We're putting the biggest one on this list that's coming out soon, that's coming out at the end of the year. We're going to put it on our competitor's platform.
Yeah, that was always the plan. That was always the plan, right?
Yeah.
That was always the plan. Hey, a shout out to Jez from the Gaming Grindhouse. Shout out to Kofi, Falky, and Thrifty. Hit that like. Member for 7 months. Guys, you can join up. You have a monthly thing that you can, monthly celebration that you get. And I read those out on the show as well. Jez, Super appreciative for you stopping by. Hell of a show today, bro. Hell of a show today. Also, if you haven't checked it out, the Grindhouse Awards are live and up. Y'all need to go check those out. There's some funny stuff on there. My favorite category was what was the best game under 5 hours that will play itself for you. That was my favorite category for the show. So, but yeah, go check his stuff out. Falky, before you get out of here, you got 1 minute. So before you get out of here, tell folks where they can find you.
You can find me slumming around on different podcasts. I'll pop up on this show again in the near future, I'm sure of it. You can find me on Twitter at Forky87. If you got any questions, queries, or comments about the show today, happy to have a chat. Otherwise, yeah, enjoy, keep safe, and welcome to 2025.
Heck yeah, man. Hey, man, I hope the new year's been good to you. Thanks for coming on, and you are always welcome back whenever. Just let me know.
No worries at all. Good to chat with you, Kofi. I'll catch you again soon.
Absolutely, man. Great chatting with you, Falky. Have a good. I don't know if it's cold where you are, but
no, it's summertime where he's at.
It's summertime.
Yeah, we're in the middle of summer, and I think I'll go down to the beach a little bit later.
Having summertime with Christmas trees and stuff, that's just weird as hell to me, dude. I can't even, it makes my brain, melt a little bit. But anyways.
It goes the same the other way. I could not even imagine Christmas being freezing cold.
That's crazy.
So, dude, right? That's so surreal in that moment. It's just crazy. Anyways, Falky, super appreciative for having you on, man.
Right. See ya.
See ya, dude. As we're thinking about this, as we are kind of exploring this whole idea with Game Pass and kind of what happened, I will still go back to the games. Falky did bring up a good point, though. When he talked about they shot themselves in the foot both ways, right? Because you sell a console at a loss knowing you're going to make up the money on the software. Or you don't sell the console at a loss and you kind of increase the price of your software, right? Sony did that.
Yep.
One way or another, you got to find a way to make sure your bottom line comes out right. And instead of doing that, they said, we'll sell the console at a loss. It'll be a loss leader on the market. We'll put this budget console out. Oh, hey, also, instead of selling them our software, what if we let them subscribe to it? Well, how much? How about $15 a month? Do you think it'll work? Hell yeah, it'll work. We'll get 20, 30,000 within the first few years. Really? Yeah, it'll be great. They'll come in and 20, 30,000. I meant 20, 30 million. My bad.
Million, yeah.
They'll come in and then we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Oh, great. And how are we going to do that? We'll give away our games day one. Wait. We'll do what? No. It's going to work. It's going to work. Look at Netflix. Look at Hulu. Look at Spotify. Look at not iHeartRadio. That doesn't work. Look at Sirius XM. All of these things. It works. Everybody does it. And somebody in the chat, I can't remember who it was. Let me see if it's still here. No, I can't see. Somebody had mentioned that they were hoping for Corey Massey mentioned that they were hoping for the gym membership effect, where you sign up for it, you forget you signed up for it, you put it on a card you never use, and you never see it again. Until that bill for the card comes in and you owe $300, $400, $500, $600. And you're like, wait. What?
It's I've been subscribed to Game Pass for 2 years. What?
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Yeah. It's so funny enough, the way I do my subscriptions now is, especially if it's just for something I don't normally subscribe to, like Netflix, I don't. There was a new season that came out of a show that my wife wanted to watch. We signed up for it. The day I signed up for it, I canceled it. And what that does is it gives you just that 30 days that you paid for. Yeah. That's it. Doesn't give you a single thing else, and all it takes is 3 extra clicks right after you sign up to cancel. So there is no way you can forget, because trust me, and with the ease that it is to sign up on subscription services now, there should be absolutely no reason, unless there's a bundle and it's one you use all the time or you just want to do it. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, but logically speaking, if you don't use these sub services, except maybe twice, 3 times a year for your one special series that you like, or maybe you want HBO Max because, during the summer you like to binge watch Friends and that has all 10 seasons on there. Well, you can go ahead and go, hey, I'm going to get Max for the month, cancel, binge watch my show, get my fix out of the way for watching all 10 seasons a year, which I may or may not have done several times, and then stop paying for it and be done. And then, guess what? The next time you go to use the app on your smart TV, on your smartphone, on your PC, on your tablet, anywhere, if you haven't paid for it, there will be a little thing that pops up that says renew now. You click it, and it takes you right there, and you're 2 clicks away from being back to where it doesn't, people are like, well, I just don't want to deal with the hassle. Literally, it takes 30 seconds.
There's a lot of people who are like that, though.
It takes 30 seconds, and it saves so much money. So much money. And it stops these companies from thinking they're doing a good job when in actuality they're fucking up. I'm telling you, you want a game that's coming out? Do the same thing. Shit, Jez has been doing that for months. A game comes out on Xbox, he wants to try it for the channel. He'll do a quick, boom, I got Game Pass. And hell, I think the last few months he hadn't even had to pay for it because it came with his new laptop. There's ways to get around giving this dumbass company any of your money. And I'm not kidding. They already get all your data. You can't really do anything about that. But, you cannot give them money. And you don't give them money because their games are shit. When their games are shit, their consoles are shit, third-party developers are like, listen, it's not even because Sony's giving us the bag. We just don't want to deal with your bullshit. Kofi, did you see that? When, oh shoot, it was last week or the week before, dude came out from the studio Game Science, I think, that made Black Myth Wukong, and he was sitting there and just totally candid about it and saying the reason why we couldn't put it over there is because of the shared bandwidth on the Series S.
Oh, yep. Did see that.
What? Huh? What the fuck?
After all the drama.
After all of it. After getting told that Sony's money hatting, they paid for the exclusive, and now they're not saying it. Okay. But Sony didn't do any of the marketing. Sony didn't blast it from the rooftops at any of their state of plays, really. Yeah. They didn't have it front and center.
In China.
Yeah.
They had an event in China they didn't even talk about it.
Wasn't even there. And you think, listen, we already said it, Sony plays it safe. Whatever they spend money on, they're going to make money on. The few times they haven't, and I think it's honestly soured a few relationships because one of those was Forspoken.
Yeah.
They had the marketing for it. It's crazy when you think about the timeline of Square Enix and them going over and talking to Microsoft again and trying to get that relationship in the works and maybe send some of their games over there. Because Forspoken was a bomb of epic proportion. And Final Fantasy VII Remake didn't sell just gangbusters Rebirth. Final Fantasy 16 didn't either. You gotta be thinking, if Sony gets the marketing rights to these or pays for the exclusivity or does all this stuff, they're expecting to recoup some of that, all of it, with their 30% fee or whatever it is.
Yep.
And if that doesn't happen, Sony might have been the one to look at them and say, hey, listen, your last several games with us underperformed like a lot from what you said they were supposed to do, and we paid you off of your valuation. And this is all speculation, guys, but listen, it all makes sense. If a company can't make money, they're going to stop working with, or they're going to stop doing the thing that makes them not make money. That's a job of a company. That's what they're there for. They're there to make money. And if that starts drying up, they have to start looking elsewhere. Which, wrapping this back around, because of shitty games, because of training your people not to buy games using Game Pass, you're now sitting here in a position where you literally have to take your games to your competitor. You used your one more thing to say Indiana Jones is coming to PS5 in the spring. Like, like, which, what does that do? Kofi, if you are an Indiana Jones fan and you have a PlayStation 5, you don't have an Xbox, and you've been hearing all year about Indiana Jones coming, and you're like, man, I don't care that it looks like shit. I gotta play it. I have to play it. I gotta try it. It's the same reason I played Marvel Avengers. I'm a Marvels fan. I had to play it. Yes, it was ass, but I had to play it. Would you consider getting an Xbox, maybe even a Series S, just to be able to play that?
That particular game?
No. But put yourself in the position of a fan, of like a die-hard indie fan. Like, you love the movies, you love the TV show, or not the TV show, you love the IP as a whole. Like, people who would buy a PS5 for a Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Right?
I would. I mean, is everything else the same? Like, is Game Pass still a thing?
Yeah, everything is the same. You can go get a Series S for $200 and pay $20 for Game Pass for that 1 month. Play Indiana Jones. If you are,
buy the game.
You would probably just buy the game to have it, right? But like,
yeah,
you would still consider at least going over and adding the Xbox to your ecosystem to buy the console to play the game.
That's true. Yes, I would.
But now looking at it, and they're one more thing, you all of a sudden see, oh, it's coming to PS5. Oh, well, hell, I'll just wait. Like, what?
I mean, that's happened plenty of times, too.
Like,
I mean, at least back in the day, like when Tales of Vesperia was announced for PS3, I was like, oh, I'll just play it on PS3. I'm not going to play it on Xbox. That was like I was playing it. I was literally playing it on Xbox when it got announced. Of course, it never got localized, but that's another story. So, yeah,
it's just crazy, man. Like, the things that player base has gone through. I said it last week or the week before. The past 3 shows have all kind of just jumbled together for me. But, like, one of the things I've seen them do is literally get tricked and duped into this to the point now where they believe the lie. They have been fed this crap repeatedly. Don't worry, guys. It's coming. We'll send you more games. 1 game a quarter. They did that this year. I believe.
Yeah.
Hellblade 2.
Yeah, I think they did, yeah.
They did 1 game a quarter this year.
I don't know if they were all AAA, but I agree. I think they did do it.
I thought they did.
Did Pentiment come out?
Was that this? I don't. Oh, wait. What was it? Was Stalker?
That's this year, right?
Right.
No, wait. Yeah, Stalker. For this year so far, they're on track. For 2025.
No.
Well, Indie ended last year.
Right. So,
with,
but didn't Stalker 2 come out last year, or was that? What game was that with the Geiger counter? God, Jez played it on his stream.
The Geiger counter?
Oh crap! That's gonna piss me off. They had nothing from January to May of last year. That's what Josh said.
January to didn't they have Hellblade 2 sometime in the beginning of last year?
Was last year at the end of last year. Stalker 2 was last year at the end of last year. Okay. So, but it's a timed exclusive. Still counts. Understood, but still counts in my opinion. It does. But when your timed exclusive is only 3 months, that's when it doesn't count anymore. Like, if they came out and said, hey, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be out on the PlayStation, it's an exclusive, and then a week later somebody came out, or maybe after that announcement somebody came out and said, hey, don't worry guys, in the summer it's coming to Xbox. That's not a timed exclusive. A timed exclusive looks at you like Lara Croft's, like the second Tomb Raider game, and says, hey, you can only play this on Xbox for this first full year. I remember that because I loved the reboot. And I had to wait an additional year to play the second game because I've refused to purchase an Xbox. Like,
Yeah.
that is a
Okay,
timed
yeah, that's
exclusive.
corrected. I'm just looking at these release dates. I completely missed that Stalker actually did come out last year.
I thought it did.
For
I
some reason,
thought it
was
did. So they had 3, if they're counting, yeah, it was 3 games in 3 months of the same quarter. Correct. That's, so, but they made it on average. On average, we did it. But that's the problem, guys. Xbox is just average. That's it. They really are. And now we have a business analyst. This is factual information. That a business analyst said that it hurts game sales by a whopping 80%. That's terrible. And Black Ops, who was I? I was reading something earlier that said it's interesting that all of these games have come out from Xbox and then well within a week are out of the top selling games. Gone.
Right. And I wonder how the metric of the 80% is measured. For example, let's say indie only sold, 20% of its potential. That's bad. But you could also track individual users. And how often are users just waiting?
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that's a unique metric from just an individual game sale.
Well, and like we
users
talked about at
waiting.
the beginning, man, we're to a point where, good lord, we have so much shit to play. Like,
That too.
we just, like, and so think about this. I don't know if anybody else has this happen, but decision paralysis is a thing. I would be sitting. There's one of the benefits of not having PS Premium currently is that I can't just scroll through 700 games trying to figure out what I want to play. Because I do that shit on Netflix or on Disney or on Paramount. Like, Paramount Plus is the one that it doesn't leave our house. But like even that, I'll be like, I'll just scroll and scroll and scroll and keep scrolling. And after I do that, I click on something and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, you know what? I really hate watching TV anyways. And I turn on the PlayStation. I've spent 30 minutes scrolling and accomplished absolutely nothing. And so decision paralysis is a thing. People's backlogs are way out the yin-yang right now. You have so many games that are coming out, and it's just to the point now where it's like, listen, if your game isn't good, people aren't stopping what they're currently doing to play your shit. Like, they're just not. The only reason I picked up Stellar Blade last year was because I played the freaking demo.
I love that game.
I do too, dude. It's so fun. It's actually really, really awesome. I 100% love that game, and I've beaten that game. It's so good, and it's a game that I will actually go back to because I just love the setting, I love the world, the music. It's really good. Okay.
Like you said, I want to get the platinum in that.
So, Kofi, how much longer do I got you? You sound like you're getting sleepy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I got like 5 more.
5 more minutes. Okay. All right. So, real quick then. I already did a live show over the PlayStation sales numbers, the 5-to-1. All of that's accurate. All of that's real. Y'all can go to VG Charts and check it out. Or once I get my blunder done from the live stream that I did, I can get it back up on YouTube. I have it. It's just privated right now, so nobody can see it. I have to edit something out of it because I'm a dipshit. So, it'll be back though. Also, Astrobot, it did freaking amazing, but I feel like I've ball washed Astrobot enough on this channel that I can just go ahead and hit the highlights. It's won 104 Game of the Year awards so far. That beat out Take-Two by 16 awards. That's fantastic. That's awesome. It's not going to beat like the article even says, it's not going to beat heavy hitters like Elden Ring or something like that. But like for a platformer, that's fantastic. If you haven't played Astrobot, I don't care if it's not your type of game. Go check it out. Or better yet, go watch Asmongold play it, who doesn't like these type of games at all, and you can literally see at one point where the dude starts having fun and forgets that he's supposed to hate the game as part of the act. So awesome. So awesome. So go check it out. It's a fantastic game. Now, let's get into the last topic real quick. Kofi, I want your thoughts. Sony came out yesterday at the CES and started talking about all their IPs, all their stuff. They did lenses. They talked about their movie division. They talked about their gaming IPs and things like that. But the thing that everybody wanted that we didn't get this year, and I don't think we got last year, this is not the time for it, was video game announcements. We didn't get any of those. What we did get was an announcement for a Helldivers movie, a Ghost of Tsushima anime, a Horizon Zero Dawn movie, and more. Let's see what the more was. You have an Until Dawn live action film releasing April 25th, a new Lego Horizon Adventures music video. You have The Last of Us 2 is releasing in April on Max. So there's a ton of crap coming using Sony using their IPs. So, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think it is wrong to start doing this when we're not getting games at the cadence that we would want? Like, do you think they missed the mark or hit it? What do you think on this?
I am a little bit. I don't know how to. I guess I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm on the fence between concerned and okay. The reason why I am okay with it is I like that initially Sony kind of took their time and released The Last of Us. I think that was kind of like it was a full effort, I believe, some of the quality actors that they recruited for Last of Us Season 1. But it allowed all of us to see that there is potential for these IPs to become shows or films. So now that has garnered all the success, I think they turned around and been like, look, we put in X amount of money. We're going to go ahead and put, I don't know, maybe 1.5, 2X, and see how some of these other franchises do. Now, with the announcement of all of these titles, it does seem like recruiting talent and making sure that the stories are well written could be at risk, in my opinion. I think that each of these IPs for their creation need to be treated not delicately, but in a thorough manner.
Respectfully.
Respectfully. If you're doing a Tsushima, media that is a movie show, that sounds amazing. It also sounds like they could screw it up. Like, for example, Yakuza recently got a show. I hear it's terrible. And I'm like, how you screw up Yakuza? To me, there's so much potential for Yakuza to be like the coolest thing ever. Like, get a guy, have him beat up people with like whatever he can find in a room. And, I just feel like you get that appeal. You write a good story. There are plenty of great actors that I think would love to play Kiryu. And, bring some live action attention to Japan. That would be amazing. Kind of like how Shogun. Shogun on Hulu right now. I have not watched it, but I hear it's amazing, and I've seen this. People have gotten nominated. I think the Emmy. Somebody got nominated for an Emmy, I think, on Shogun. So that that was exciting to see. I think Yakuza could have had the same potential, but it's like either Sega didn't invest enough, or they just rushed it and they thought it was going to be great. And that's weird because Sonic apparently can be successful. I mean, we've seen this now. 3 movies in a row, fans are happy. The movie's made the trilogy has made a lot of money. So I like that there are examples of success when there's thorough investment, and I'm unhappy when I think too much is thrown at the wall, which is kind of how I'm feeling with like Horizon's coming. Horizon live action sounds like a mistake. I don't want to see Aloy fighting some weird deep
CGI robot.
Yes. I want to see a Thunderjaw look menacing. And if it needs to be, it doesn't need to be like anime-esque, but if it's like animated, like I don't know, Big Hero 6 or something like that, like not
Ooh, yeah,
cartoony
yeah,
like
yeah.
Big Hero 6, but you know what I mean? Like it's got like a 3D aspect to it, but absolutely not live action looking. I'm on board because I think there's a budget around making, you know, the Thunderjaw or whatever look awesome. So
I
yeah,
actually agree. I was thinking about that today about Horizon, the IP, and I'm like, man, honestly, Sony, you're starting to Last of Us this thing for me. You need to stop
man,
because
I love Horizon, by the way. Like I'm a huge fan, platinum both games. So yeah, I remember they announced it like a year and a half ago. They were like, "Oh, you know, Horizon live action." I was like, "Oh
mm.
gosh, it's gonna be so bad." Like remember Monster Hunt? Remember the Monster Hunter movie
No,
that
I
came
don't.
out?
I don't.
Oh, oh, don't even. I'm sorry I brought it up. I'm sorry your listeners have to hear me mention that game. I mean, the movie. And I can't believe that. And it had one of my favorite Muay Thai kung fu actor slash actual artist, Tony Jaa. He was in that, and I was like, oh man, you know, I gotta support. Man, that movie's awful because they didn't have the
Yeah.
budget to like fully flesh out a wyvern or you know elder dragon or
I'm
whatever.
glad I never heard of it because Tony Jaa is amazing,
Right?
especially in The Protector. It's
Oh
a
man,
phenomenal, phenomenal movie. Oh my
love the
God.
protector.
I don't know what the heck they're saying through the entire thing, but it's such a good movie. It's
I
so
love
good.
that movie. So
The
yeah,
elephant fight
exactly.
scenes. Oh,
Oh,
dude, when they're in the
yeah,
room and he starts jumping from the elephants and like using the bones to like, oh my gosh,
it's
freaking
amazing.
sick. Okay, sorry.
So no, yeah, it's like there's a lot of opportunities to screw this up, and or like another throwback, the original Sonic the Hedgehog trailer where they had the you know demonized version of Sonic that looked half human, half I don't know, looked like like a Five Nights from Freddy's villain, and
With the
Sony, I mean, I'm
teeth,
sorry,
the weird
Paramount.
teeth.
Oh my! Yeah, had the weird sharp shark teeth. But Paramount, you know, I think they're the distributor, right? Paramount took a step back
Yes,
and
yeah,
they
yeah,
said,
yeah.
maybe we need to listen to the fans, and that worked out.
It
And I think,
did,
you know, another thing, I didn't like the Uncharted movie, but it wasn't like horrific. I just
and
didn't really
it
like
did number. It
Tom
did
being
okay
played.
numbers.
Yeah, it didn't like. I don't hate it, but I think Tom didn't fit the role of like a Nolan North for me. And I think the reason I liked Nolan North as Drake is he had this ability to tell stories. He'd be like,
Yeah,
you know, if you're I'm looking for the golden Shambhala, but the way he described the adventure was so uh, I don't know. It was impressive, I guess I'll say. And Tom is, it was just like, hey, I'm going out, and I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. But
No, no,
anyway,
no. That makes sense. Like the narration, and that's the biggest thing. Like they can find somebody to look like Aloy, no problem. You're not gonna match her voice, her pitch, her cadence, her delivery. You're just
yeah.
not. And I've looked up the voice actress. She can't play her. Like
Mm,
unless they really like they would have to do some. Well, she could play Elizabeth because she has. I don't know, man. She doesn't look anything like Aloy. That the voice actress is not the uh, mocap model, and so like
right.
it doesn't work. And that's why I'm really excited about the anime of Ghost of Tsushima Legends because so here's the thing. I don't think this was a miss at all. I think they freaking knocked it out of the park. I think that they're going to get me to watch TV again. Like I am excited about the anime. I am excited about the Helldivers movie. That's going to be a trip.
Yeah.
Zero Dawn, I have issues with for pretty much every single thing that you've already mentioned. Um, and I'm not. I'm kind of tired of getting getting Horizon shoved in our faces every chance we get, and I really enjoy the Horizon games. Like I really do. It's one of the games this year that I will be finishing. I still
Yeah.
have like 40 hours left in it. Not the first one, the second. I've beaten
The
the
second
first
one.
one.
Yeah.
But like that IP, you had a game, you had another game, you have a VR game, you have a Lego game. Y'all were working on on a TV series, and now you're turning that into a full live action movie. Like, I, I'm really trying not to be like, oh my God, stop mentioning Horizon. Give it something else, anything else. Tell me you have something else. Like, but I think they knocked it out of the park. I think this is a really good use by Sony using their gaming arm to help funnel and support uh, their video media arm. I guess is that what you want to call it, or the filmmaking arm. Like, I think those type of moves are really smart by Sony because they're not saying, hey, we're going to use these IPs and run them into the dirt necessarily. We are going to, because like I wouldn't say they're doing that with Ghost of Tsushima, even though there's a movie, there's a anime, there's another game coming. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think that it's that series is being ran into the ground.
Yep, I agree.
But like, I think it's genius. I think it's what they need to do. I think that the people who are butthurt they didn't mention video games. Josh pointed out in the chat earlier they mentioned one video game in 4 years at CES.
Oh yeah.
It's not what it's
I never
for.
go to CES for games. Yeah.
No, and I literally, so I thought it was like just like not a conference. Stupid me. I had no idea what it actually was. I knew it was like a tech thing, but it's PC mostly related, so I don't really give a shit because it's PC related. And this year, the Discord was going nuts, like just article for this, link for this, video for this. And I'm like, guys, did CES start or something? And somebody in the chat was like, well, let's point out the obvious here. And I was like, oh, my bad. I didn't. I don't care about this. And then they were like, no, there's actually some really cool stuff. And this was one of the really cool things. And I was like, huh. They might. Ghost of Tsushima Legends is going to get me to resubscribe to Crunchyroll. Demon Slayer is going to get me to resubscribe to Crunchyroll. Like, I don't know. I'm really happy with the way Sony is doing this. But guys, with that, we are going to call it a night. If you could, please hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. I run this show every Wednesday night at 8:45 with the irreplaceable help from so many different guests. We had Falky on tonight. We had Kofi on tonight. Next week we have Will 777 JP and Henry Heck are going to be on. Henry Heck is coming back here, done with his hiatus from all things social media, and happy to have them two coming here next week. Kofi, thank you so much for tonight. Sorry about all the confusion from earlier with all the stuff and the time zones and everything.
Yeah,
Dude,
that was my own fault.
Where can these guys find you?
As usual, guys, you can catch me on Elon Musk's social network, whatever they call it nowadays. No, I'm kidding. X, creative_Kofi. Hopefully posting a lot of RPGs that I will be playing more frequently. I'm really getting through Hai no Kiseki right now. I'm minutes from the final chapter, so
nice.
finally it'll be going on to Dragon Quest and Romancing Saga and getting the Platinum and Astrobot, so you'll see me on there. Definitely going to be posting a lot.
The Platinum and Astrobot was super fun. By sheer happenstance, one of the last trophy I got was one where you have to go down in the water, come back up, and go through the ring. And it was the last trophy.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
It was the last trophy, and I felt like that was a really epic way to get the trophy. Like, go down, come up, jump through this thing. It takes your picture while you did it, and I was like, okay, that's a hell of a picture to get as your platinum trophy. That was pretty cool.
True.
I was like, that was pretty awesome. So I was really happy that I had to look up two trophies for that game. One of them was on the casino level, I didn't know you had to like do something with the casinos with the slot machines at the beginning.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Um,
Yep.
didn't even realize it. I should have, but I didn't. And then the other one was that one in the water level, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. But anyways, super fun time, guys. Once again, thank y'all so much for showing up. We got out of here in 2 hours and 16 minutes. Dadgummit, that's a freaking record. Last time Kofi was on, we were here for 3 hours. Same with Falky. So we're getting better at this, guys. Hope to see y'all all here next week. As always, guys, stay